Hello everyone, welcome back to Minecraft. Last time we left off we were talking about some very deep philosophical nonsense. And this bothers me. There we go. So I think with today's episode, I'd like to start off with something a little bit more grounded. And watching the last video over, um, I want to build up right next to this path right here. So I'm going to just do that. But so, I will tell a little story of what happened today, or a bit earlier today. Is that right? I think that's right. We'll see. Oh well, actually, that's really high up. Huh. Well, we'll figure that out. Well, sorry about that. So today, as you know, it's spring break. This is, or was essentially the first day of spring break, you could say. Saturday. Friday, yesterday, the various food service outlets here were roughly operating normally, you could say. Let's do this number and this number. Okay. Yeah, very good. So yesterday everything was normal, but today, and I expected this. Like I checked, I asked around, I looked at the schedule in advance. Today there was scheduled to be like literally one food outlet open on campus, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, because this particular food service outlet wasn't anything. It was a food service outlet that I was okay with. It had like a variety of options, um, and I'm not really picky when it comes to food. Honestly, I don't have like any dietary restrictions, or I don't care too much about what I eat. Honestly, um, if you see me, you would know that. But today, uh, it just all went wrong. So how it worked actually. Now, see, this is not good because I was looking for the crevice. If the crevice is still off to the left, I'm going to be very pissed. It all went wrong because oh well. Oh, hello there. Get out of here. There was one food service outlet that opened at like 7:30 and closed at 12:30. But this was, let's say, a less preferable food service outlet, right? So I ended up at this one food service outlet, the more preferable one, at about 12. And it turned out that that's when they were actually scheduled to open. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see that they're not here, so it probably makes sense. But you'd think, like, if they're scheduled to be open for business at 12, then there's already going to be an employee in there. They got to open everything up, get all the food ready, things like that. You know, turn on the cash register, computer, what have you. I need to turn that way. I keep forgetting. And let's not use the iron pick. So, but that's not what happened. That's not actually what happened. What actually happened was, did I actually start my recording? Yes, I did. Very good. That's a good thing to do. It's always good to start your recordings. What actually happened was they just didn't show up. And I don't know whether they just never showed up at all, or if they were just late and eventually they showed up. I did not wait around forever to find out. Huh. How about we do that? And let's get another furnace. So I waited around for about 20 minutes, and I was not the only one waiting around. There were quite a few other students. One, 3 times 8 is, yeah, okay. One student notably said a few expletives before returning to their room. So it was this whole ordeal. I asked, so the food service was kind of built into like it's like a clubhouse. There was a person at the desk, and I asked them like, "Hey, do you know what's up with these guys?" And they're like, "No." In fact, they really didn't have any idea that anything was wrong to begin with. They just assumed that the student was yelling about something else. I don't know. Torches. Oops. So eventually I gave up on them. So I went to this second best food outlet option, right? Because ultimately I was hungry, right? Like I had already been just sitting around in my dorm before I left for a good hour. And of course, when you wake up in the morning, you're pretty hungry. So then I start biking around. I bike to, in fact, this secondary food service option has 2 locations on campus. So I bike to the first one, and they're not supposed to close until 12:30, and I must get there at like 12:31 because they are not open, and naturally they closed at 12:30 on the dot, right? Just my luck. And we should be encountering the crevice. Here we are. Yes, very good. I was worried I dug too deep, but I'm not even close. Okay, sweet. And then this upper pass is literally pointless, but maybe I'll find a way to do something with it. Maybe I'll make like a second house or something. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. So I biked around the whole campus like twice, trying to find some place to eat. Very hungry and a little bit pissed off at this point. So I'm like, crap. Well, I guess that's sort of my fault because after all, these places did say specifically when they would close, and I was too late, so I'll just have to accept that. Didn't call and complain or anything like that. Although I was tempted to. So I go back to option number 1. I'm like, okay, well, let's give these guys another chance because surely by now, like maybe someone has called and complained and they've actually finally gotten someone out there to do some food service stuff, right? They're not going to leave their students out in the cold, let people go hungry, right? Nope. That there was still no employees there. And to be honest, I don't know whether anyone actually did ever show up. But, I mean, I hate to wish bad things upon people, but it's really just not acceptable. And I hope somebody gets reprimanded for that, because that is nonsense. Well, I mean, their day doesn't start until 12. Like, there's really not a good excuse for coming in late, like, or just not coming at all. I don't fundamentally understand it. I really don't. And it drives me crazy just a little bit, honestly. I am, um, I am a bit of a type A personality, you could say. Um, so it bothers me a lot when people don't follow schedules, for example. Um, and I also strongly dislike being hungry. So it's like my two worst fears combined into one. But that's what I kind of dealt with earlier today. Um, before I ultimately decided to just order pizza for the first time. which was delicious, and I have no complaints about that. So, you know, I guess it kind of had a happy ending. uh, let's I can't really. Let's do this. I don't know why, but I can like put. Kind of looks cool. I could put some torches here. Yeah, that looks interesting. Oh well, slightly. Um, that's not what I want it to do. There. That looks like it was meant to be put there. Except not that. Yeah, that looks neat. Okay. Let's keep on going down. Oh, so another. I just remembered another crazy story. So, the cafeteria is where this story takes place, which I eat at often because I believe it is important to have variety in your diet, and it's convenient that they serve a different thing every day. So, I usually go there. So there's this one guy. I had just recently gotten my new laptop, and I had planned on staying in the cafeteria for a good couple hours. Um, my laptop was fully charged, but I sat down next to. Let's get rid of this water. I sat down next to one of the few seats that had. Oops! Oh, come on. That had an outlet near them. It was along the wall. Unfortunately. Oh. Unfortunately, there's like. Oh goodness. Well, how do I get down now? There's only like 4 outlets in the whole place. And I sit down. I start putting myself down. I don't believe I had gotten any food yet. And then this guy comes up to me, and he asks if he could sit at my table because he has a laptop and he needs to charge it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you don't really get to you can't just do that. You can't ask anyone to give up your seat. That's not an okay thing to do. Like, because the assumed social construct of getting seats in the cafeteria is whoever gets the seat first is who it belongs to. But here he is defying that social construct, somehow implying that his needs are more important than mine. But I stop and think like, well, maybe. Because I hadn't taken out my laptop. So maybe he's thinking that I'm just some Joe Schmo who doesn't realize that this is an outlet C. So maybe my normal response would have been, well, I have a laptop too, or something like that, or I need to charge stuff too, so I actually kind of want to sit here. But as I take a minute to think, what's the recording time right now? We're over time, but let me just finish the story. As I take a moment to think, he then says, I'm sorry, am I being rude? And, I mean, this poor guy, he did look like he was pretty anxious to be in this situation. Some very strong nerdy vibes, a lot of social anxiety. And then he asks, am I being rude? Which is, I mean, I think if you have to ask that, then the answer is probably yes, you are being rude. But the thing was, like, I couldn't even muster anger enough at the guy. I was just so stunned by the fact that he asked whether he was being rude, that he couldn't perceive that he was in fact being rude, and probably, I mean, this was probably just a misunderstanding. And then somewhere in his mumbling, he did seem to suggest that he had planned on sitting there anyways. Like, I don't know if he had his backpack under the table or something, I just didn't notice it. But he seemed very attached to that particular table. So I guess I'm just going to kind of cover this up. I took a minute, I sighed, and I'm just like, no, it's fine. It really stinks that there's not enough outlets, doesn't it? And he didn't really seem to get what I was saying. You know, I was trying to relate to him like, hey, it's not really your fault. It's just kind of just acknowledging that, hey, this is an awkward situation. I'm sorry that you had to ask about it. But that courtesy seemed to be lost on him. Yeah, but that was a very strange interaction. Wow, I'm like flying up this thing now. That was weird. Good. Let's do. Whoa! Don't fall off. Don't fall off. Very nice. And don't die. Sweet. And yes, I suppose that ends story time. I'm very proud of this lighting up that we've done, this exploration. I think it's going very well. But without further ado, I'm going to end the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.